Alicia Turner stood beside the mahogany casket, her red dress bright against the sea of mourners in dark suits. Tears streamed down her brown cheeks as she touched William Hargrove's cold hand one last time. She had dressed him in his favorite blue suit, the one he wore when he finally walked again after 2 years of paralysis. "You manipulative witch." The whisper came from behind her. Alicia turned to see Preston Hargrove, William's son, his face twisted with rage. Beside him stood his sister Diane and her son Brandon, all three glaring at her with pure hatred. "Excuse me?" Alicia's voice shook. "You heard me," Preston hissed, stepping closer. 4 years of playing the devoted nurse. 4 years of isolating my father from his real family. And for what? $3.5 million. Alicia's heart pounded. The will reading had happened just hours before the funeral. William had left her more money than she'd ever dreamed of seeing in her lifetime. Money she never asked for. Money that terrified her. "I never asked William for anything," Alicia said quietly. "But you took it anyway, didn't you?" Diane's voice was sharp, cutting. She wore a green designer dress that probably cost more than Alicia's yearly salary. "My father was vulnerable. Paralyzed. You saw an opportunity and you seized it." "That's not true. I loved him." Brandon laughed, a cruel sound that made several mourners turn their heads. "Love? Is that what you call it? A woman your age going after a man almost 30 years older? That's not love. That's gold digging." The funeral director approached, looking uncomfortable. "Please, this is not the time or place." "You're right," Preston said, his eyes never leaving Alicia's face. "This conversation isn't over. We're going to fight this will with everything we have. Every lawyer, every dollar, every connection. And when we're done, you'll wish you'd never met my father." Alicia's legs felt weak. She had cared for William Hargrove for 4 years. She had wiped his tears, celebrated his victories, held his hand through the pain. She had loved him truly, completely, without expecting anything in return. And now his family, the same people who abandoned him when he needed them most, were going to destroy her for accepting his final gift. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you gave up everything for them, only to have others question your motives? If this story touches your heart, please subscribe and comment below. Share your thoughts on loyalty, love, and what it means to truly care for someone. Your voice matters in conversations about genuine compassion. The letters started arriving 3 days after the funeral. Alicia sat at her small kitchen table in her modest apartment, staring at the legal documents spread before her. Her hands trembled as she read the words undue influence and mental incompetence over and over again. Preston Hargrove was suing to overturn his father's will. Her phone buzzed. Another text message from an unknown number: "Give back what isn't yours or we'll make you regret it." This was the 5th threatening message in 2 days. Alicia stood and walked to her living room window, looking out at the busy street below. She had worked as a home health aide for 12 years, always choosing the hardest cases, the patients other caregivers avoided. She'd never made much money, but she'd never needed much. Her 1-bedroom apartment was enough. Her used car ran fine. She'd been content. Now everything was different. A knock at her door made her jump. Through the peephole, she saw Isabel Chin, her best friend and fellow nurse, holding 2 coffee cups and a bag of pastries. "Let me in," Isabel called. "I brought reinforcements." Alicia opened the door, grateful for friendly company. Isabel took one look at her face and immediately set down the coffee to pull her into a hug. "They're going to destroy me," Alicia whispered. "No, they're not," Isabel said firmly. She was wearing bright yellow scrubs, always cheerful even in dark times. "William left you that money because you earned it. Because you loved him when no one else did. I never wanted his money. I know that. You know that. William knew that. And that's exactly why he left it to you." They sat together at the table, and Isabel read through the legal documents with a lawyer's precision, though she'd never been to law school. She just had that kind of mind. "They're claiming William wasn't in his right mind when he changed the will," Isabel said. "But that's ridiculous. I saw him at the hospital dozens of times over the past 4 years. That man was sharp as a tack right until the end." "His family is powerful," Alicia said. "Preston owns 3 tech companies. Diane married into old money. They have resources I can't even imagine. But they don't have the truth." Isabel squeezed her hand. "And truth has a way of winning, eventually." Alicia wanted to believe her. She really did. Her phone rang. The caller ID showed Cho and Associates. That was Gerald Cho, William's longtime attorney and the executor of his estate. "Miss Turner," Gerald's calm voice came through the speaker. I wanted to check on you after yesterday's funeral incident. I heard about the confrontation. I'm okay, Alicia lied. No, you're not. And that's understandable. There was a pause. Miss Turner, I need you to understand something. William anticipated this exact situation. He knew his family would contest the will. That's why he took extensive precautions. What kind of precautions? He documented everything. His reasoning, his state of mind, his experiences with both you and his family over the past 4 years. He kept journals. He made video recordings. He wanted to make absolutely certain that his wishes would be honored. Alicia's throat tightened. Even in death, William was still protecting her. There's more, Gerald continued. William also established a trust that cannot be contested, separate from the will. If the family successfully challenges the will itself, the trust still transfers certain assets to you. He made sure you would be taken care of no matter what happened. Why would he do all that? Because he loved you, Miss Turner. And because he saw how his family treated him. He wanted to right that wrong. After the call ended, Alicia sat in silence. Isabel had gone to the kitchen to heat up the pastries, giving her space to think. William had planned for this. He'd known his family would attack. And he'd built defenses to protect her. But the question was, did she want to fight? The money would change her life completely. She could stop working 3 jobs. She could go back to school. She could start the nonprofit she'd always dreamed about, helping other home health aides get proper training and fair wages. But it would also mean months, maybe years, of legal battles. It would mean facing Preston, Diane, and Brandon in court. It would mean having her entire relationship with William dissected and questioned by strangers. A loud bang on her door made both women jump. Isabel moved toward it, but Alicia held up her hand. "Let me," she said quietly. She looked through the peephole and saw Preston standing there, alone this time, his face red with anger. "I know you're in there, Alicia," he called. "Open the door. We need to talk." Isabel shook her head frantically, but Alicia made a decision. She couldn't hide forever. She opened the door but kept the chain lock engaged. "What do you want?" she asked. Preston's eyes were bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't slept. "I want you to refuse the inheritance. Walk away. Sign the papers my lawyers will draw up, and this all goes away. And if I don't? Then we will make your life a living hell. We'll dig into every aspect of your past. Every relationship, every job, every mistake you've ever made. We'll find something, Alicia. Everyone has secrets. And we'll use whatever we find to prove you manipulated my father. I never manipulated William. I cared for him. While his family was shut out. You shut yourselves out, Alicia said, her voice rising despite her attempt to stay calm. You visited him twice in 4 years. Twice. I was there every single day. I saw him through the pain, the depression, the small victories. I celebrated when he took his first steps again. Where were you? Preston's jaw clenched. We were busy. We had lives, businesses to run. And William had a life too. A life you all forgot about the moment he became inconvenient. He was my father. Then you should have acted like it. Alicia took a deep breath. I'm not signing anything, Preston. William wanted me to have this inheritance, and I'm going to honor his wishes. Not because I want the money, but because refusing it would dishonor his memory. He made his choice, and I'm going to respect it. Preston stared at her for a long moment. You're making a mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. After he left, Alicia closed the door and leaned against it, her heart racing. Isabel hugged her again. That was brave, Isabel said. That was terrifying. Same thing sometimes. That night, alone in her apartment, Alicia pulled out a box she kept in her closet. Inside were 4 years of memories, photos of William smiling in his wheelchair, cards he'd written her, small gifts he'd given. At the bottom was a letter, sealed in an envelope with her name written in William's shaky handwriting. She'd found it in her bag the day after he died. She hadn't been able to open it yet. Now she carefully broke the seal and unfolded the paper. My dearest Alicia, it began. If you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm guessing my family is making your life difficult. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I can't be there to defend you myself. But I need you to know something. You saved my life. Not just physically, though you did that too. You saved my spirit. When I had the accident, I wanted to die. My family's abandonment only made it worse. But you saw me. The real me. Not my money, not my past success, just me. A broken man who needed help. And you gave that help with such grace, such genuine kindness, that I fell in love with you. I know our relationship was complicated. I know people will judge. But I don't care what they think. I care what you think. And I hope you'll accept my final gift not as payment, but as gratitude. As love. Use it to do good in this world, Alicia. Use it to help others the way you helped me. Don't let my family's greed make you doubt yourself. You earned every penny through years of compassion and dedication. Accept it with the same grace you showed me every day. I love you. I will always love you. William. Alicia cried until she had no tears left. Then she got up, washed her face and made a decision. She would fight. Not for the money but for William's memory. For the truth about their relationship. For every caregiver who'd ever been dismissed or devalued. She picked up her phone and called Gerald Cho. I'm ready, she said when he answered. Whatever it takes, I'm ready to fight. 4 years earlier, Alicia parked her old Honda outside the Hargrove mansion and took a deep breath. The house was enormous, all glass and steel and modern angles. She felt small just looking at it. This was her biggest case yet. William Hargrove, tech millionaire, recently paralyzed in a car accident. The agency had warned her that he was difficult, angry, refusing care from multiple previous aides. But the pay was good and Alicia needed the money. Her mother's medical bills were piling up, and her savings had run dry months ago. A woman answered the door, tall and elegant in a green business suit. You must be the new aide. I'm Diane, Mr. Hargrove's daughter. Come in. Diane led her through a stunning entryway with marble floors and soaring ceilings. Despite the beauty, the house felt cold, empty. My father is in the sunroom, Diane said briskly. He's been very difficult since the accident. 3 aides have quit already. I don't expect you to last much longer, but we have to try. Medicare requires we provide care. I understand, Alicia said, though the woman's tone bothered her. There was no warmth, no concern for her father's well-being. Just obligation. I have a meeting in the city. His medications are on the counter, instructions are in the folder. Call if there's an emergency. Diane was already walking toward the door. Oh, and don't let him manipulate you. He can be very charming when he wants something. Then she was gone and Alicia was alone in the massive house. She found William in the sunroom, slumped in a state-of-the-art wheelchair, staring out at the garden. He wore a blue bathrobe and hadn't shaved in days. The room smelled stale, like it hadn't been opened in weeks despite the beautiful weather outside. Mr. Hargrove? Alicia said softly. I'm Alicia Turner. I'm here to help you today. He didn't turn around. I don't need help. I need everyone to leave me alone. I understand you're frustrated. No, you don't. His voice was sharp. You have no idea what it's like to go from running marathons to not being able to walk across a room. You have no idea what it's like to have your whole life destroyed in one moment because some drunk driver ran a red light. Alicia walked around the wheelchair so she could see his face. William Hargrove was 58 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked defeated. You're right, she said. I don't know what that's like. But I do know what it's like to watch someone you love go through something impossible. My mother had a stroke 2 years ago. She couldn't speak for 6 months. Couldn't move her left side. Everyone said she'd never recover. William's eyes flickered with interest. Did she? Mostly. She worked hard. So did I. And she got about 80% of her function back. Enough to live independently again. Alicia smiled. I'm not saying your situation is the same. I'm just saying I understand how hard this is. For you and for everyone who cares about you. No one cares about me, William said bitterly. My son visited once right after the accident, spent 20 minutes here, then left. My daughter comes by twice a week, but she's always in a hurry. My grandson hasn't come at all. I'm just a burden now. An expensive, inconvenient burden. Alicia's heart ached for him. She'd seen this before, families who couldn't handle the reality of serious illness or injury. It was easier to stay away than to face the pain. Well, I'm here now, she said. And I'm not in a hurry. So how about we start with breakfast? When's the last time you ate? Yesterday, I think. One of those nutrition shakes. That's not breakfast. That's survival mode. Alicia headed toward the kitchen. Do you like eggs? For the first time, William's expression softened slightly. I used to. Haven't had real food in weeks. The other aides just gave me shakes and pills. Not me. If you're going to get better, you need real nutrition. Real food. Real care. She cooked him scrambled eggs with cheese, toast, and fresh fruit. She opened the windows in the sunroom to let in fresh air and sunshine. She helped him wash his face and shave, treating him with dignity instead of pity. By lunchtime, William was actually talking, telling her stories about building his first tech startup in his garage 30 years ago. I had nothing, he said. Just an idea and a dream. But I believed in it. I worked 80-hour weeks for 5 years straight. My wife left me because I was never home. But I built something real. Something that mattered. You still matter, Alicia said gently. This accident doesn't define you. Doesn't it? I can't walk. Can't work. Can't do anything I used to do. Yet, Alicia corrected. You can't do those things yet. But that doesn't mean you never will. The human body is incredible, Mr. Hargrove. It can heal in ways that seem impossible. But you have to want to heal. You have to fight for it. William looked at her for a long moment. You really believe that? I know it. I've seen it happen. But I can't do it alone. You have to be willing to work even when it's painful. Even when it seems pointless. And if I try and fail? Then at least you tried. That's more than most people can say. Something shifted in William's expression. Not quite hope, but maybe the beginning of it. All right, Alicia Turner. Show me what you've got. They started physical therapy that afternoon. Just small movements at first, testing his range of motion, seeing what was possible. William gritted his teeth through the pain, but he didn't complain. Alicia praised every small success, celebrated every inch of progress. By the time her shift ended at 6, William looked exhausted but more alive than he had that morning. Same time tomorrow? Alicia asked. You're coming back? William seemed surprised. Of course. We've got work to do. The others didn't come back. I'm not the others. Alicia smiled. Get some rest, Mr. Hargrove. Tomorrow we're going to push a little harder. As she drove home to her small apartment, Alicia thought about William's family. About how they'd abandoned him when he needed them most. About the loneliness in his eyes that had nothing to do with his paralysis. She'd seen it before. Wealthy families who cared more about money and status than actual people. But she'd also seen people recover from incredible trauma when they had proper support and care. William Hargrove deserved that chance. Over the next few weeks, Alicia established a routine. She arrived at 8 every morning, cooked William a proper breakfast, and led him through increasingly challenging physical therapy exercises. She talked to him like a person, not a patient. She learned about his life, his regrets, his dreams. And slowly, gradually, William started to heal. Not just physically, though that was happening too. His spirit began to mend. He started looking forward to her visits. He started caring about getting better. 1 month in, Preston Hargrove showed up during one of their therapy sessions. He was tall, sharp-featured, wearing an expensive suit. He looked at his father with barely concealed impatience. Dad, we need to talk about the warehouse property. The buyers are getting impatient. Not now, Preston, William said, focused on the parallel bars where Alicia was supporting him as he tried to take steps. I'm working. This is important. It's a $10 million deal. And I'm trying to walk. Which is more important to me right now. Preston's jaw tightened. He glanced at Alicia with clear dismissal. Who are you? Alicia Turner. I'm your father's aide. Right. Well, Alicia, could you give us some privacy? Actually, I'd like her to stay, William said. She's helping me, which is more than you've done lately. That's not fair, Dad. I'm running your companies. Someone has to keep the business going while you recover. Is that what you're doing? Or are you just waiting for me to die so you can inherit everything? The words hung in the air like poison. Preston's face turned red. How dare you? It's a fair question. You've been here twice in a month, Preston. Twice. And both times you wanted to talk about business, not about me. Not about how I'm doing or if I'm in pain or if I need anything. Just business. Someone has to think about practical matters. And someone has to think about being a son, William shot back. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm trying to walk. Preston left without another word, his footsteps echoing through the empty house. Alicia said nothing, just continued supporting William as he took another painful step forward. But inside, her heart ached for him. She understood now why he'd been so angry when she first arrived. It wasn't about the paralysis. It was about the abandonment. That night, after Alicia had gone home, William called her cell phone. She almost didn't answer, surprised to see his number. Mr. Hargrove? Is everything okay? I just wanted to say thank you, William said quietly. For today. For every day. You didn't have to stay during that conversation with Preston. You asked me to. I know. But you could have left anyway. Made an excuse. Most people would have. I'm not most people. William laughed, a real laugh that made Alicia smile. No, you're certainly not. Good night, Alicia. Good night, Mr. Hargrove. As she lay in bed that night, Alicia thought about William's loneliness. About how money couldn't buy the things that really mattered, like family who actually cared, or friends who showed up when life got hard. She thought about how grateful she was for her own small circle of support. Her mother, who called every week despite her own health challenges. Isabel, who brought coffee and listened to her complaints after hard days. Her church community, who prayed for her and her patients. William had none of that. Just a big empty house and a family who saw him as a bank account, not a person. She made a silent promise to herself. As long as William needed her, she would be there. Not just as his aide but as his friend. Everyone deserved that much. 3 months into her work with William, Alicia arrived at the mansion to find him standing by the window. Standing, not sitting. Using a walker for support but standing nonetheless. "Mr. Hargrove," she exclaimed. William turned, grinning like a kid who just won a prize. "I did it. I woke up early and practiced what you taught me. It took 20 minutes and I thought I might fall a dozen times, but I did it." Alicia felt tears spring to her eyes. She'd seen patients give up after less severe injuries. But William had fought through months of painful therapy, frustration, and setbacks. And now he was standing. "This is incredible," she said, setting down her bag and walking closer. "How does it feel?" "Like I climbed Mount Everest," William admitted. "I'm exhausted. But it feels good. Really good." They worked together that morning on building his standing endurance. 10 minutes, then 15, then 20. By lunchtime, William had managed to walk from his bedroom to the kitchen using the walker, a distance of maybe 50 feet. But it might as well have been a marathon for how proud he looked. "We should celebrate," Alicia said. "What's your favorite meal? Besides your cooking?" William smiled. "Probably lasagna. My mother used to make it every Sunday when I was a kid. Haven't had good lasagna in years." "Then lasagna it is. I'll bring the ingredients tomorrow and we'll make it together. You can help from your wheelchair and we'll take breaks when you need to stand and stretch." "You don't have to do that." "I want to." And she meant it. Over the past 3 months, William had become more than just a patient. He was becoming a friend. The next day they spent 3 hours making lasagna together. William chopped vegetables while Alicia handled the hot stove. They talked about everything and nothing: his childhood in Michigan, her college years studying nursing, his failed marriage, her series of relationships that never quite worked out. "Why hasn't some smart man locked you down yet?" William asked, stirring the sauce she'd handed him. Alicia laughed. "Honestly, I think I intimidate men. I'm too independent, too focused on my work. And I don't have patience for games or drama. I want something real." "Real is rare these days," William said quietly. "I thought I had it with my ex-wife. But I was always working, always chasing the next deal. By the time I looked up, she was gone. Preston was 10 years old and barely knew me. Diane was 8 and called me sir instead of Dad." "You can't change the past," Alicia said gently. "But you can change the present. You could reach out to them now, build better relationships." "I've tried. They're not interested. They only call when they need money or want me to make business decisions. Preston came by last week, stayed for 15 minutes, asked me to approve a merger, then left. Didn't ask how I was feeling, didn't notice I can stand now. Just business." Alicia saw the pain in his eyes. "Their loss," she said firmly. "Anyone who can't see how hard you're working, how far you've come, doesn't deserve your time." William looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "How did I get so lucky to find you?" "I think maybe we both got lucky," Alicia said. The lasagna turned out perfect. They ate together at the kitchen table, talking and laughing like old friends. It was the first time Alicia had seen William truly relaxed and happy. As the months continued, their bond deepened. William pushed himself harder in therapy because he wanted to walk without assistance. He wanted to surprise Alicia, to make her proud. And she was proud, celebrating every milestone, encouraging him through every setback. 6 months after they met, William took his first steps without the walker. Just 3 steps from his wheelchair to the couch, but he did it alone. Alicia cried. William cried. They hugged, and for a moment the world was perfect. "I couldn't have done this without you," William said, his voice thick with emotion. "Yes, you could have. You have the strength inside you. I just helped you find it." "No," William said firmly. "Without you I would have given up. I was ready to give up. But you wouldn't let me. You saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself." That night, William's daughter Diane made a rare visit. She breezed in wearing a bright green designer dress, talking on her phone, barely glancing at her father. "Dad, I need you to sign these papers," she said, thrusting a folder at him. "It's for the foundation's annual gala. Your name brings in donors even if you can't attend." I can attend, William said. I'm walking now. Diane finally looked at him properly. What? I'm walking. 3 steps so far but working up to more. Alicia has been helping me. Diane's eyes shifted to Alicia with clear assessment. The 8. How nice. Well, congratulations, Dad. But I really need those signatures. The event is next week and the lawyers are breathing down my neck. William signed the papers, his expression closing off. After Diane left, he was quiet for the rest of the afternoon. She didn't even care, he finally said. I'm walking again, something the doctor said might never happen, and she didn't even care. Maybe she doesn't know how to show she cares, Alicia offered, though even she didn't believe it. Or maybe she just doesn't. William looked out the window. You know what the sad thing is? I spent 30 years building a fortune, thinking it would make my family happy. Thinking it would give my kids opportunities, security. But all it did was make them entitled. They love my money, but I don't think they love me. I think they love you, Alicia said. They just don't know how to show it. And they're scared. Sometimes people pull away from things that scare them. And you're not scared? Of what? Of this. Of me. Of getting too close to a patient. Alicia considered the question carefully. The truth was she was getting close to William. Closer than professional ethics probably allowed. But she couldn't help it. He was brilliant, funny, kind, and more resilient than anyone she'd ever met. Maybe a little scared, she admitted. But I think some things are worth being scared for. William smiled, and Alicia realized with a start that she was falling for him. Not because of his money or his house or his success, but because of who he was when all of that was stripped away. A good man who'd been hurt by people who should have loved him better. 1 year into their work together, William threw her a surprise party to celebrate the anniversary. He'd ordered cake, invited Isabel and a few other nurses from the agency, and decorated the sunroom with balloons in bright blue and red. You've been by my side for a year, William said when he made a toast. You've seen me at my worst and somehow stuck around. You've celebrated my victories and helped me through defeats. You've given me hope when I had none. So this party is my way of saying thank you. Thank you for being exactly who you are. Alicia felt overwhelmed. No one had ever done something like this for her before. In her world, she was always the one taking care of others, celebrating their milestones, supporting their dreams. To have someone acknowledge her work, her dedication, meant everything. Thank you, she said, her voice breaking slightly. This means more than you know. Later, after the other guests had left, William and Alicia sat together on the back patio, watching the sunset. He was in his wheelchair, but only because he was tired from standing most of the day. Can I tell you something? William asked. Of course. I'm falling in love with you. The words came out quiet but clear. I know it's inappropriate. I know I'm almost 30 years older than you. I know you're my age and I shouldn't feel this way. But I do. And I needed you to know. Alicia's heart raced. She'd felt it too, this pull between them, but she'd convinced herself it was one-sided. That William saw her as just a caregiver, nothing more. I feel it too, she whispered. William turned his wheelchair to face her. Really? Really? But William, this is complicated. There are rules about patient relationships. The agency would fire me if they knew. And your family would use it against us. I don't care about the agency or my family, William said. I care about you. I care about what we have. But I understand if this is too much, if you need to walk away. Alicia thought about everything she'd learned in nursing school about professional boundaries. About maintaining distance, not getting emotionally involved. But she also thought about the past year, about how William had become her best friend, her confidant, the person she most looked forward to seeing every day. I don't want to walk away, she said. But we need to be careful. We need to protect ourselves, protect what we're building. Agreed. William reached for her hand. So we'll be careful. But we'll also be honest. No more pretending this is just professional. That night marked the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship. They were no longer just patient and caregiver. They were partners, lovers, friends. They kept it quiet, knowing the world wouldn't understand. But in private they built something real and beautiful. 2 years after their first meeting, William walked Alicia through his garden without any assistance. His gait was still careful, his steps measured, but he was walking. Truly walking. Remember when you told me this might be possible? William said, stopping to rest on a bench beside a fountain. I didn't believe you. I remember. Alicia sat beside him, their shoulders touching. You called me an optimistic fool. I was wrong. You were right. About everything. William turned to look at her. I love you, Alicia Turner. I love you for your optimism, your strength, your refusal to give up on me. I love you for seeing me as more than my paralysis or my bank account. I love you for being exactly who you are. Alicia felt tears welling up. They said those words often now, but they never lost their power. I love you too. They'd been together, truly together, for over a year now. Alicia still officially worked as William's aide, though she did far less actual caregiving these days. William was largely independent now, able to walk, dress himself, handle most daily tasks. But she came every day anyway, and they both knew it wasn't about the job anymore. I want to tell people about us, William said. I'm tired of hiding. Your family will lose their minds. Let them. William took her hand. I've spent too much of my life caring what they think. They only visit when they want something anyway. Preston was here last week asking for $3 million to expand his company. Didn't ask about my health, didn't ask about you, just money. Alicia had heard similar stories many times. In the 2 years she'd known William, his family had visited maybe a dozen times total. Always brief visits, always about business or money. Never just to spend time with him to see how he was doing. Are you going to give it to him? No. I already gave him $2 million for his last expansion. If he can't make his business work with that kind of capital, more money won't help. William sighed. I know I spoiled them. I gave them everything growing up, trying to make up for never being around. But I created entitled adults who think money solves everything. It's not too late to change that dynamic. Isn't it? They're in their 30s now. Old enough to know better, but choosing not to. They sat in comfortable silence, watching butterflies dance among the flowers. Alicia had helped William redesign this garden, adding raised beds so he could tend plants even from his wheelchair in the early days. Now he worked the soil standing, planting vegetables and flowers that brought him joy. What if we went public? Alicia said suddenly. Told everyone we're together. Maybe it would force your family to actually deal with reality instead of pretending you're still alone. You're worried about your job. A little, she admitted. But mostly I'm tired of sneaking around like we're doing something wrong. We're not hurting anyone. We're two adults who fell in love. William pulled her close. All right, let's do it. This weekend I'm having Preston, Diane, and Brandon over for Sunday dinner. It's been months since they all came at once. I'll tell them then. Alicia's stomach twisted with nerves, but she nodded. This was the right thing to do. They couldn't hide forever. Sunday arrived too quickly. Alicia spent the morning cooking William's favorite meal, pot roast with roasted vegetables and homemade biscuits. She wore a bright red dress that William loved, her hair styled carefully, wanting to look her best for the confrontation that was surely coming. Preston arrived first, looking irritated. Dad, why did you insist on this family dinner? I have an important meeting tomorrow and needed to prepare. Because I wanted to see my children, William said calmly. Is that so strange? Diane arrived 20 minutes later, fashionably late as always, wearing a maroon designer outfit and checking her phone constantly. Brandon, Preston's son, showed up last, barely acknowledging William before asking if there was beer in the fridge. They sat around the dining room table, the meal spread before them. No one complimented the food or thanked Alicia for cooking it, despite William's pointed comments about how hard she'd worked. So why are we really here? Preston asked after a few bites. What do you need, Dad? I don't need anything, William said. I wanted to share some news with my family. You're not sick again, are you? Diane looked alarmed, probably worried about money. No. I'm healthier than I've been in years, thanks to Alicia. William reached over and took Alicia's hand on top of the table. We're together. Alicia and I are in a relationship. The silence that followed was deafening. Preston set down his fork slowly. You're joking. I'm not. Dad, she's your nurse. This is completely inappropriate. She's a person, William said firmly. A person who has been by my side for 2 years. A person who helped me walk again when doctors said it was impossible. A person who cares about me, not my bank account. Diane's face had gone pale. How long has this been going on? About a year. A year? Brandon spoke up for the first time. Grandpa, don't you think that's kind of weird? She's like, what, 30? 31, Alicia said quietly, finding her voice. And I understand this is surprising, but William and I care about each other very much. I bet you do, Preston said coldly. Care about him and his millions. That's enough, William's voice cracked like a whip. I will not let you disrespect Alicia in my home. She has given me more love and support in 2 years than you 3 have given me in your entire lives. That's not fair, Diane protested. We visit. We call. You visit when you want money. You call when you need business advice. When's the last time any of you asked how I'm doing and actually waited to hear the answer? No one responded. That's what I thought. William stood, a feat that still required some effort but that he managed with grace. I asked you here to share happy news. To introduce you properly to the woman I love. But I can see that was a mistake. You're not happy for me. You're worried about your inheritances. Don't be ridiculous, Preston said, but his face was red. Am I being ridiculous? Because from where I'm standing, you three only care about what you'll get when I die. Well, here's something else to think about. I've been considering changing my will. Leaving most of my estate to charitable foundations. After all, you've all made good money in your own careers. You don't need mine. The room erupted. All three family members started talking at once, protesting, arguing, making accusations. Alicia sat frozen, watching the disaster unfold. Finally, William raised his hand for silence. Get out, all of you. And don't come back until you're ready to have an actual relationship with me, not my checkbook. They left in a fury of slammed doors and angry words. When the house was quiet again, William sat down heavily, looking exhausted. Well, he said. That went as badly as expected. Alicia moved her chair closer to his. I'm sorry. I know that was hard. It was necessary. William took her hand again. I meant what I said. About changing my will. Not to punish them but to reward you. You've given up so much for me, Alicia. You could have dated, built relationships, pursued your own dreams. Instead, you've devoted yourself to my care and recovery. I didn't give up anything, Alicia protested. I chose this. I chose you. And I'm grateful every single day. William kissed her hand. But I want to make sure you're taken care of. If something happens to me, I don't want you struggling. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're healthy now. I know. But humor me. William smiled. Let me do this one thing to show you how much you mean to me. Alicia didn't argue further. She understood that this was important to William, a way of showing love when words didn't feel like enough. That night, they cleaned up dinner together and talked about the future. About maybe going public with their relationship beyond just family. About Alicia formally leaving the caregiving agency and just being William's partner. About traveling together, seeing the world now that he could walk again. I want to take you to Italy, William said. Florence, Rome, Venice. I went once for business 20 years ago but didn't see anything except hotel conference rooms. I want to go back with you and actually experience it. I've never been to Europe, Alicia admitted. Then we'll go together. See it all for the first time through your eyes. William pulled her close. I want to give you the world, Alicia. Everything I have, everything I am, it's yours. I don't need the world, Alicia said softly. I just need you. They kissed, and for a moment, everything else faded away. The angry family, the uncertain future, the complications of their relationship. None of it mattered as much as this connection they'd built through 2 years of hard work, dedication, and genuine love. Over the next 6 months, William's family showed their true colors in increasingly obvious ways. Preston called weekly asking for money for various business ventures. When William refused, Preston's tone turned hostile. You're letting that woman control you, he'd say. She's isolated you from your real family. Diane stopped by monthly, always with a list of charitable causes she wanted William to fund. Causes that would conveniently put her name in society magazines. She'd walk past Alicia without acknowledgement, treating her like furniture. Brandon only appeared when he needed bail money, which happened twice. DUIs, bar fights, reckless spending. William paid the first time but refused the second, telling his grandson he needed to face consequences. Through it all, Alicia watched William's heartbreak deepen. He'd always known his family was distant, but he hadn't realized how transactional their love had become. Every interaction centered on money, never on him as a person. I raised them wrong, William said one evening. They were sitting on the back patio, watching fireflies dance in the growing darkness. I was too busy making money to teach them what actually matters. You can't blame yourself, Alicia said. They're adults. They make their own choices. But I set the pattern. I taught them that money solves problems, that success means wealth. I never taught them about kindness, compassion, sacrifice. The things you show me every day. Alicia leaned her head on his shoulder. They'd been together for almost 2 years now, and she couldn't imagine her life without him. He'd become her best friend, her partner, her family. Have you thought more about the will? She asked carefully. She hated talking about it, hated thinking about William dying, but he'd brought it up several times recently. I have. I've been meeting with Gerald Cho, my attorney, working out the details. William paused. I want to leave you $3.5 million, the lake house in Tennessee, and enough in trust to ensure you're comfortable for the rest of your life. Alicia sat up straight. William, that's too much. No, it's not enough. You've given me 2 years of your life, Alicia. 2 years of your youth, your energy, your love. You turned down job opportunities, relationship possibilities, everything to stay with me. This is my way of making sure you're okay when I'm gone. I don't want to talk about you being gone. I know. But I need to plan for it anyway. William took her hands. I'm 60 years old. I've had a serious injury. I could live another 30 years or I could die tomorrow. Either way, I want you protected. What about your family? They'll each get $2 million. That's more than generous considering how they've treated me. The rest goes to charity except for what I'm leaving you. Alicia felt overwhelmed. She'd never had money, never expected to have money. The thought of suddenly being wealthy felt strange, almost wrong. I don't know if I can accept that, she whispered. Please, William said urgently. Please accept it. Not just for you but for me. Let me do this one thing to show you how much you mean to me. Let me take care of you the way you've taken care of me. She looked into his eyes and saw the sincerity there. This wasn't about guilt or obligation. This was love, pure and simple. He wanted to give her security the same way she'd given him hope. Okay, she said finally. Okay, I'll accept it. With gratitude and love. William smiled, looking relieved. Thank you. I'll have Gerald draw up the papers this week. 3 weeks later, William signed the new will. Gerald Cho brought it to the house with 2 witnesses, making it all official and legal. William added extra documentation, written statements explaining his reasoning, video recordings discussing his relationship with Alicia and his family's neglect. If they contest this, and they will, Gerald said, we want to make absolutely certain the court understands your state of mind. That you're competent, clear-headed, and making these decisions freely. I appreciate the thoroughness, William said. Your family won't go down without a fight. I've known Preston for years. He's ruthless in business and he won't accept being cut out of his expected inheritance. He's not being cut out. He's getting $2 million. That's hardly poverty. But it's not the $20 million he was expecting, Gerald pointed out. And that lake house he thought was his. And the main estate. You're leaving most of your assets to charity and to Alicia. They'll fight it. Let them fight. I have good reasons for every decision, and you've documented them all. After Gerald left, Alicia felt uneasy. Maybe you should reconsider. I don't want to cause problems between you and your family. You're not causing problems. They are. They've shown over and over that they only care about money. Well, now they can see what happens when they prioritize wealth over relationships. Despite her concerns, Alicia accepted William's decision. She trusted him, trusted his judgment. And deep down, she was touched that he valued her enough to provide for her future. The next few months passed peacefully. William continued to grow stronger. They traveled to the beach for a week, William's first vacation in 5 years. They visited museums, went to concerts, lived a life that William had almost given up on after his accident. Alicia had never been happier. She'd found love she didn't know was possible. Not just romance, though that was wonderful, but partnership. Friendship. Genuine connection with someone who saw her, really saw her, and loved what he saw. I wish we'd met earlier, William said one night. When I was younger, before the accident. We could have had more time. We have time now, Alicia said. That's what matters. I know. But I still wish I could give you more. A normal relationship without all this baggage. Without my health issues and my toxic family. Your family doesn't define our relationship. We do. And I wouldn't change anything about our story, William. Not one moment. He kissed her, and Alicia felt completely content. Whatever challenges came next, they'd face them together. But neither of them knew how little time they actually had left. William's health began declining slowly, so slowly that at first Alicia didn't notice. Small things. He was more tired than usual. His appetite decreased slightly. He needed longer rest periods after physical activity. I'm just getting older, he'd say with a smile. Happens to the best of us. But Alicia's nursing instincts nagged at her. Something wasn't quite right. She finally convinced William to see his doctor for a full checkup. The results came back concerning. His heart, already damaged from the stress of the accident and paralysis, was showing signs of failure. Not immediate, not critical, but progressing. How long? William asked Dr. Raymond Foster calmly. Hard to say. Could be years with proper management. Could be less. Dr. Foster, a kind man in his 50s wearing blue scrubs, looked genuinely sad. I'm sorry, William. We'll do everything we can to manage symptoms and keep you comfortable. William took the news with quiet acceptance. Alicia fell apart. I can't lose you, she sobbed that night in his arms. I can't. Hey, listen to me. William tilted her chin up. We don't know how much time we have. No one does. But whatever time we get, we're going to make it count. No wallowing, no giving up. We're going to live every single day fully. How can you be so calm? Because I already got my miracle, William said gently. I was supposed to be paralyzed for life, remember? But I walked again. I fell in love. I've had 2 years of genuine happiness. That's more than most people get in a whole lifetime. His strength humbled her. Over the next few weeks, William put his affairs in order. He finalized the will, established the charitable foundation he wanted, made sure everything was documented properly. He also wrote Alicia a letter, sealed it, and told her not to open it until after he died. Just in case, he said. So you know how much you meant to me. Alicia kept the letter in her bag, praying she wouldn't need it for years. But 6 months after the diagnosis, William had a major cardiac event. He survived, but it weakened him significantly. He went from walking independently to needing a wheelchair again, from active to frail. I'm not giving up, he insisted when Alicia tried to get him to rest more. I still have things to do, people to love, life to live. His family finally showed up when they heard about the cardiac event. Preston, Diane, and Brandon all arrived within hours, suddenly concerned. Dad, we should talk about medical decisions, Preston said carefully. Do you have a living will? Medical power of attorney? Alicia has my medical power of attorney, William said. She's the one who'll make decisions if I can't. The room went silent. You gave your nurse power of attorney? Diane's voice was shrill. Over your own children? She's not my nurse. She's my partner. And yes, I trust her to honor my wishes, something I'm not sure I can say about you three. This is ridiculous, Preston paced the room. She's manipulated you, isolated you from family. You isolated yourselves, William said tiredly. Where were you for the past 4 years? Alicia was here every single day. Every single day, Preston. She earned my trust. They left angrily, and William looked exhausted from the confrontation. I'm sorry, Alicia said. I'm causing problems. Stop apologizing for existing, William said firmly. They don't get to make you feel guilty for loving me. 3 months later, William's condition worsened again. He was hospitalized twice in 1 month. The doctors were running out of options. I'm ready, William told Alicia one quiet evening in the hospital. When the time comes, I'm ready. I've lived a full life. I've loved and been loved. I have no regrets. I'm not ready, Alicia whispered, holding his hand. I know. But you're going to be okay. You're strong, Alicia. Stronger than anyone I know. And you're going to do great things with your life after I'm gone. I don't want great things. I want you. William smiled, his eyes full of love. You'll always have me. I'll be right here. He tapped her chest, over her heart. Every time you help someone, every time you show kindness, I'll be there. They sat together in the hospital room, watching the sunset through the window. Alicia memorized every detail of his face, wanting to remember this moment forever. 2 weeks later, William came home from the hospital for the last time. He wanted to die in his own bed, surrounded by love, not machines. Alicia took a leave of absence from work and devoted herself completely to his care. Isabel came by every day to help. Dr. Foster made house calls, ensuring William was comfortable and pain-free. William's family visited once, stayed for 20 minutes and left. They didn't come back. It's okay, William told Alicia. I made my peace with who they are. My love goes to the people who actually showed up. His final week was peaceful. He slept more, talked less, but smiled every time he saw Alicia. She read to him, played his favorite music, held his hand. On his last day, William was lucid for a few hours. He called Alicia to his bedside and took her hand. Thank you, he said clearly. For everything. For giving me hope when I had none. For loving me when I was unlovable. For being exactly who you are. I love you, Alicia said through tears. I love you so much. I love you too. And I want you to promise me something. Anything. Accept the inheritance. Use it to do good. Don't let my family bully you into refusing it. I left it to you for a reason, because you earned it. Because you deserve it. Promise me. I promise, Alicia whispered. William smiled, closed his eyes and slipped away peacefully. No pain, no struggle. just a gentle letting go. Alicia held him as he died, her tears falling on his hand, her heart breaking into a million pieces. He was gone. The man who'd given her purpose, shown her real love, believed in her when she didn't believe in herself. Gone. But as the grief washed over her, Alicia remembered his final words. His final request. She had made a promise and she would keep it. No matter what his family tried to do, she would honor William's wishes. Not for the money but for the love. For the memory of the man who'd changed her life completely. The funeral was held on a gray Thursday morning. Alicia arrived early wearing the red dress William had loved, ignoring the judgmental looks from other mourners who thought she should wear black. He hated black, she told Isabel, who stood beside her in supportive silence. He said life was too short for dark colors. The service was formal and cold. Preston gave a eulogy full of business accomplishments and financial successes, barely mentioning William as a person or father. Diane cried theatrically but checked her phone twice during the ceremony. Brandon didn't speak at all. No one mentioned Alicia or her 4 years of dedication. No one acknowledged her grief. She might as well have been invisible. After the burial, Gerald Cho pulled her aside. The will reading is scheduled for tomorrow at my office. 2 o'clock. Can you make it? Do I have to be there? Yes. You're a primary beneficiary. Alicia's stomach twisted. She'd been dreading this moment, knowing it would make everything real. William was gone, and now she'd have to face his family and their anger. The next day she arrived at Gerald's law office 15 minutes early. The waiting room was elegant, all leather chairs and mahogany furniture. Preston, Diane and Brandon were already there, talking in low, tense voices that stopped when she walked in. You've got some nerve showing up, Preston said. I was invited, Alicia replied quietly, taking a seat as far from them as possible. Gerald emerged from his office, looking professional in a blue suit. Thank you all for coming. Please follow me to the conference room. They sat around a large table, the family on one side, Alicia alone on the other. Gerald took his place at the head and pulled out a thick folder. This is the last will and testament of William Hargrove, signed and witnessed 6 months ago. William was of sound mind and body when he made these decisions, and he left extensive documentation supporting his choices. Just read it, Preston said impatiently. Gerald began. The first part was standard. Small bequests to longtime employees, charitable donations to various causes William supported. Then he got to the family. To my son, Preston Hargrove, I leave $2 million, to be distributed over 5 years. To my daughter, Diane Hargrove Monroe, I leave $2 million, to be distributed over 5 years. To my grandson, Brandon Hargrove, I leave $1 million, to be held in trust until age 35. Preston's face turned red. $2 million? Dad's estate is worth over $50 million. We're his children. Where's the rest going? Gerald continued calmly. $20 million is designated for the William Hargrove Foundation, which will provide grants to home health aides pursuing further education. $10 million goes to various medical charities. The main estate will be sold, with proceeds split between the foundation and the charitable organizations. And the rest? Diane demanded. The lake house in Tennessee, valued at approximately $1.5 million, goes to Alicia Turner. Additionally, Alicia Turner will receive $3.5 million from the estate, along with William's personal effects and a trust fund ensuring her financial security. The explosion was immediate. Preston stood so violently his chair tipped over. This is insane. She manipulated him. She isolated him from his family and convinced him to disinherit his own children. He didn't disinherit you, Gerald said calmly. You're each receiving substantial amounts. Substantial? That gold digger is getting $5 million plus a house, and we're splitting $5 million between 3 people? No, absolutely not. We're contesting this will. William anticipated that response. Gerald opened another folder. He left multiple documents explaining his reasoning. Video recordings, written statements, medical evaluations proving his competence. He also left letters to each of you. He handed out 3 envelopes. Preston tore his open and read it quickly, his face darkening with each line. Alicia sat frozen, unable to process what was happening. William had left her $5 million. $5 million. And a house. And security for the rest of her life. It was too much. It was overwhelming. It was more than she'd ever dreamed of having. This is not over, Preston said, throwing the letter on the table. We'll fight this with everything we have. We'll prove she manipulated him, isolated him, took advantage of a vulnerable man. William was not vulnerable, Gerald said firmly. He was clear-headed and decisive until the day he died. And he documented his relationship with Alicia extensively, including security camera footage showing their genuine affection and her dedicated care. Care? She was sleeping with her patient. That's unethical. Their romantic relationship began after William no longer required medical care, Gerald explained. There was no ethical violation. They were two consenting adults who fell in love. Diane spoke up, her voice cold. My father was almost 30 years older than her. That's not love, that's opportunism. Alicia finally found her voice. I loved William. Everything I did because I cared about him. I never asked for money. I never even knew he'd changed his will until today. Convenient story, Brandon sneered. The innocent caregiver who had no idea she'd be getting millions. Do you expect us to believe that? I don't care what you believe, Alicia said, surprising herself with her own firmness. William loved me and I loved him. That's all that matters. We'll see what a judge thinks, Preston said. We're filing papers to contest this will immediately. And we're going to win. They stormed out, leaving Alicia alone with Gerald. She felt shell-shocked, unable to fully process what had just happened. I can't accept this, she said finally. It's too much. And it's going to tear his family apart even more. Alicia, Gerald said gently. William spent 6 months planning this. He knew exactly what he was doing and why. He left you detailed instructions about what to do if his family contested the will. May I share them with you? She nodded numbly. Gerald pulled out another envelope, this one addressed to Alicia in William's handwriting. Inside was a letter. My dearest Alicia, if you're reading this, the will reading has happened and my family has reacted exactly as I predicted. They're angry, accusatory, and determined to take away what I've given you. I need you to be strong. I need you to fight. Not for the money itself but for what it represents. Your years of service. Your genuine love. Your sacrifice. If you refuse this inheritance, you're letting them win. You're saying their greed and manipulation matter more than your dedication and care. Please don't do that. Please honor my wishes by accepting what I've given you. Use it to build the life you've always deserved. Use it to help others the way you helped me. And remember always that I loved you not despite our differences but because of them. You saw me as a person when everyone else saw a bank account. That meant everything. Fight for this, Alicia. Fight for us. Love, William. Tears streamed down her face. Gerald handed her tissues without comment. He really thought of everything, she said. He did. And he meant every word. William Hargrove was one of the most thorough, careful men I've ever known. He left no detail unaddressed, no possibility unconsidered. He wanted you protected and he made sure you would be. What happens now? Now we wait. Preston will file his contest, probably within the week. Then we'll have a court date, probably in a few months. We'll present William's documentation, witness testimony, evidence of his family's neglect versus your dedication. It will be unpleasant, but I'm confident we'll prevail. Alicia drove home in a daze. $5 million. A lake house. Security. All because she'd loved a man who needed love. It didn't feel real. That night, sitting alone in her apartment, Alicia called Isabel and told her everything. You're going to fight, right? Isabel asked immediately. I don't know. Maybe it's easier to just walk away. Walk away from $5 million that you earned through 4 years of dedicated service? Walk away from a battle with people who hate me. Alicia Turner, you listen to me. William left you that money because you earned it. Because you loved him when his own family abandoned him. If you walk away, you're telling the world that their version of events is true. That you were just a gold digger. But you know that's not true. I know that's not true. And William knew it. So you fight. You fight for your truth, for William's memory, and for your own future. Isabel's words struck home. She was right. Walking away would be easier, but it wouldn't be right. William had made his wishes clear. He'd planned for this battle. The least she could do was honor his preparation by actually fighting. Okay, Alicia said. I'll fight. Good. And you won't be alone. I'll be there every step of the way. We all will. As Alicia hung up, she felt a small spark of determination. This wasn't just about money. This was about justice, about honoring William's legacy, about standing up for herself. Preston, Diane, and Brandon thought they could intimidate her into submission. They thought she'd give up rather than face a legal battle. They were wrong. The lawsuit hit exactly 1 week after the will reading. Preston's lawyers filed a 30-page document contesting the will on grounds of undue influence, mental incompetence, and fraud. Alicia read it with growing horror. They were painting her as a predator who'd isolated William, manipulated him, and stolen his fortune. They claimed she'd prevented family visits, controlled his medications, and deliberately created dependence. Every word was a lie. "This is character assassination," she told Gerald during their first strategy meeting. "That's exactly what it is," Gerald agreed. "They're trying to destroy your reputation so thoroughly that even if we win, you'll be too damaged to enjoy the victory." So what do? We fight back with truth. We have William's journals documenting every family interaction over the past 4 years. We have security footage showing their visits or lack thereof. We have medical records proving William's mental competence. We have testimony from doctors, therapists, and other caregivers who saw your relationship firsthand. Over the next few weeks, Gerald built their defense methodically. They interviewed witnesses, gathered documentation, prepared for depositions. It was exhausting, draining, and often devastating. The worst part was the public attention. Preston had leaked the story to the media, spinning it as a tale of greedy caregiver versus grieving family. News outlets picked it up, running stories with headlines like, "Nurse inherits millions after 4 years with elderly patient," and "Family fights gold-digging caregiver over father's fortune." Strangers on the internet had opinions. Some supported Alicia, saying she'd earned the inheritance. But many sided with the family, calling her manipulative, opportunistic, worse. The comments were brutal. "Don't read them," Isabel advised, but Alicia couldn't help herself. She read every article, every comment, torturing herself with the public's judgment. The depositions were brutal. Preston's lawyers grilled her for 8 hours straight, asking invasive questions about her relationship with William, her financial history, her past relationships. They tried to paint her as someone who targeted wealthy men, though her entire dating history contradicted that narrative. "You claim you loved Mr. Hargrove," the lead attorney, a sharp woman in a green suit, said. "But isn't it true that you never would have been interested in him if he wasn't wealthy?" "That's not true," Alicia said firmly. "I fell in love with William because of who he was as a person. His kindness, his humor, his resilience. But you must admit, the money didn't hurt. I never thought about his money. I was happy with my life before I met him. I didn't need his wealth to be content. Yet you accepted a $5 million inheritance without hesitation. I accepted it because William asked me to. Because it was his final wish, and I loved him enough to honor that wish even though it meant facing this nightmare. Does it ever feel like the world judges you for accepting gifts you've truly earned? If Alicia's story moves you, if you believe in fighting for what's right even when it's hard, please subscribe and leave a comment. Tell us about times you've had to stand up for yourself against overwhelming odds. Your story matters, and this community is here to support you. The depositions continued for days. Gerald grilled Preston, Diane, and Brandon just as hard, exposing their limited involvement in William's life, their constant requests for money, their absence during his recovery. "How many times did you visit your father in the first year after his accident?" Gerald asked Preston. "I don't remember exactly. Let me help. According to security logs and William's own journals, you visited twice. Once in the hospital immediately after the accident, and once 6 months later to ask for business investment. Does that sound correct?" Preston's jaw tightened. "I was busy building my company. Too busy to visit your paralyzed father more than twice in a year? That's not fair. I called regularly. According to phone records, you called 9 times that year. 9 calls in 12 months to your father who just suffered a life-changing injury. Meanwhile, Alicia Turner was there every single day, helping him through physical therapy, cooking his meals, providing emotional support. Can you see why William might have valued her presence more than yours?" Preston had no good answer. The trial date was set for 3 months out. In the meantime, the family's lawyers filed motions to freeze William's assets, preventing Alicia from accessing any of her inheritance until the case was resolved. "They're trying to starve you out," Gerald explained. "Make you run out of money for legal fees so you'll be forced to settle." "Will that work?" "Not if I have anything to say about it. I'm working this case pro bono. William was a friend, and I'm going to make sure his wishes are honored." As the trial approached, the pressure intensified. Alicia received threatening emails and messages. Someone spray-painted "Gold Digger" on her car. She had to change her phone number twice to escape harassment. She almost gave up a dozen times. The money wasn't worth this torment, this public shaming, this constant stress. But every time she came close to quitting, she'd remember William's letter. His plea for her to fight. His trust in her strength. And she'd find the courage to keep going. 1 month before trial, Gerald received unexpected help. Dr. Raymond Foster, William's physician, volunteered to testify about William's mental state and the family's absence. "I saw firsthand how little they visited," Dr. Foster said during their prep meeting. "I saw how William lit up whenever Alicia arrived. I saw genuine love between them, and I saw William make very clear, very conscious decisions about his estate. I'll testify to all of that." More support came from unexpected sources. Other home health aides who'd worked briefly with William before Alicia testified about the family's treatment of previous caregivers. Neighbors testified about seeing Alicia's car in the driveway daily while the family rarely visited. Even William's former business partner came forward to corroborate William's complaints about his children's greed. "We're building a strong case," Gerald said. "But I won't lie to you, Alicia. This could go either way. Juries are unpredictable, and the family has expensive lawyers who are very good at their jobs. I understand. But I'm ready. Whatever happens, I'm ready." The week before trial, Alicia visited William's grave for the first time since the funeral. She brought flowers, bright red roses that he'd loved. "I'm fighting for you," she told the headstone. "For us. For the truth about what we had. I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway. I hope I'm making you proud." The wind rustled through the trees, and Alicia chose to believe it was William's way of saying yes. The trial began on a cold Monday morning in January. The courtroom was packed with media, curious onlookers, and supporters from both sides. Judge Patricia Reynolds, a stern woman in her 60s, called for order and the proceedings began. Preston's lawyers went first, painting Alicia as a calculated predator who'd systematically isolated William from his family. "The evidence will show," the lead attorney declared, "that Miss Turner took advantage of a vulnerable elderly man. She inserted herself into his life when he was at his weakest, gradually pushed his family away, and manipulated him into changing his will to benefit herself." They called witnesses who testified about seeing Alicia and William together, implying inappropriate behavior. They showed photos of the age difference, suggesting it proved manipulation. They presented financial records showing how much Alicia stood to gain. It was brutal. By the end of the first day, Alicia felt sick. They'd made her sound like a monster. But then Gerald began presenting their defense. First came the security footage. Hours and hours of recordings showing the family's rare visits versus Alicia's constant presence. The jury watched Preston arrive, stay for 15 minutes, ask about business and leave. They watched Diane breeze in and out, always in a hurry, always distracted. They watched Brandon show up drunk twice, asking for money. Then they watched Alicia, arriving every morning with groceries and a smile. Helping William through painful physical therapy. Laughing with him over meals. Reading to him when he was tired. The footage spoke volumes about who actually cared for William. "You can see the difference," Gerald told the jury. "The family shows up wanting something. Miss Turner shows up wanting to give something. Her time, her care, her love." Next came William's journals. Gerald read selected entries aloud. Day 87. "Alicia stayed 2 hours past her shift because I was having a bad pain day. She didn't ask for extra pay, didn't complain. Just stayed and kept me company. When's the last time my own children did that?" Day 203. "Preston called today. Wanted $3 million for a new business venture. Didn't ask about my health, my recovery, anything about me. Just money. I'm tired of being an ATM to my own kids." Day 412. "I'm falling in love with Alicia. I know it's complicated, probably inappropriate. But she sees me as a person, not a bank account. When's the last time anyone looked at me that way?" The jury listened intently. Several members were visibly moved. Dr. Foster testified next. "William Hargrove was of completely sound mind when he made these decisions. I evaluated him multiple times in the months before his death. He was lucid, clear-thinking, and very deliberate about his choices. He knew exactly what he was doing and why." "Did he ever express concerns about his family?" Gerald asked. "Frequently. He felt they only valued him for his money. He told me on several occasions that Alicia was the only person who cared about him as a human being, not as a source of income." Preston's lawyers cross-examined aggressively, but Dr. Foster held firm. His testimony was damaging to the family's case. Then came the video recordings. William had made several videos in the months before his death, explaining his decisions directly to the camera. The courtroom fell silent as William's face appeared on screen. "I'm making these recordings," William said clearly, "because I know my family will contest my will. I know they'll claim I wasn't in my right mind, that Alicia manipulated me. So I want to state for the record that I am making these decisions freely, consciously, and with full understanding of the consequences. He went on to describe his relationship with Alicia, his family's neglect, and his reasoning for the inheritance. Alicia Turner gave me 4 years of dedicated service. She helped me walk again when doctors said it was impossible. She loved me when I was unlovable. She asked for nothing and gave everything. My children, on the other hand, visited rarely and always wanted money. They saw me as an inheritance, not a father. I'm leaving Alicia a substantial portion of my estate because she earned it through years of compassion, dedication, and genuine love. If anyone tells you she manipulated me, they're lying. This is my decision, made with a clear mind and full heart. The video ended. Several jury members were crying. Preston's face had gone pale. This wasn't going the way he'd expected. The trial continued for 2 weeks. More witnesses, more testimony, more evidence. The family tried to poke holes in the narrative, but Gerald had built an airtight case. Finally, it was time for closing arguments. Preston's lawyer gave a passionate speech about family loyalty and protecting inheritances from outsiders. She talked about duty, blood, and rightful inheritance. Then Gerald stood. "This case is not about blood or money," he began. "It's about love. Real love, the kind that shows up every day. The kind that sacrifices, that serves, that gives without expecting return." William Hargrove had a family by blood who treated him like a bank account. And he had Alicia Turner who treated him like a person. He chose to reward the person who actually loved him. That's not manipulation. That's justice. He walked the jury through the evidence again. The security footage, the journals, the medical testimony, William's own words. William Hargrove knew exactly what he was doing. He was a brilliant businessman who built a $50 million fortune through careful planning and smart decisions. Do you really believe a man that intelligent could be manipulated by anyone? Or is it more likely that he made a conscious choice to reward the person who actually cared for him? The jury deliberated for 3 days. 3 agonizing days where Alicia barely slept, barely ate, just waited for a verdict that would determine her entire future. Finally, the jury returned. In the matter of the contested will of William Hargrove, the jury foreman read, "We find in favor of the defendant, Alicia Turner. The will is upheld as valid and binding." The courtroom erupted. Preston shouted in protest. Diane sobbed. Brandon swore loudly before being removed by security. Alicia sat frozen, unable to believe it was over. They'd won. William's wishes would be honored. Judge Reynolds banged her gavel for order. "I'm dismissing this contest with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled. The will stands as written. Miss Turner is entitled to her full inheritance as specified by Mr. Hargrove." Gerald hugged Alicia as she finally broke down in tears. Tears of relief, grief, exhaustion, and gratitude. "He'd be proud of you," Gerald whispered. "You fought for him. You won." Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed. Alicia gave a brief statement. "I loved William Hargrove with all my heart. I never wanted his money, but I wanted to honor his wishes. This inheritance represents 4 years of dedication, service, and genuine love. I'm grateful the court recognized that truth. Now I can grieve properly and begin the work William wanted me to do, helping other caregivers and honoring his memory through service." That night, alone in her apartment, Alicia finally opened the letter William had given her so many months ago. She'd read it before, but now it meant something different. "I hope you fought," he'd written. "I hope you stood up for yourself and for us. And I hope you won. Because you deserve everything good this world has to offer. Love always, William." She had fought. She had won. And now she had to figure out what came next. 3 months after the trial, Alicia stood in front of the William Hargrove Foundation's new headquarters, a bright blue building in downtown Nashville. Inside, 20 employees were working to fulfill William's vision, supporting home health aides through education grants, better wages, and professional development. "We've received over 300 applications for our first round of grants," the program director told her. "Caregivers from all over the country wanting to go back to school, get certified in specialized care, advance their careers. This is going to change lives, Alicia." "That's what William wanted," Alicia said softly. "He wanted his money to make a real difference." She'd spent the past 3 months setting up the foundation, working with lawyers and accountants to establish grant programs, scholarship funds, and advocacy initiatives. $10 million would fund operations for decades, helping thousands of caregivers get the support they deserved. The lake house in Tennessee had become Alicia's retreat. She kept it exactly as William had left it, a place to remember him and find peace. She visited every weekend, walking the trails they'd walked together, sitting on the dock they'd sat on, keeping his memory alive. The remaining money she'd invested carefully, taking Gerald's advice about financial management. She'd paid off her mother's medical debts, bought Isabel a new car to thank her for her support, and donated anonymously to several caregiving organizations. But mostly she was just figuring out how to live without William. The grief was still raw. Some days she could barely get out of bed. Other days she found herself smiling at memories, grateful for the time they'd had together. "It gets easier," Isabel promised. "Not better but easier." Alicia was starting to believe her. One Tuesday afternoon, Alicia was at the foundation office when a man walked in. He was about 40, tall, with kind eyes and an easy smile. He wore a maroon shirt and khakis. "Can I help you?" Alicia asked. "I hope so. My name is Thomas Bennett. I'm an architect and I heard you're looking to expand the foundation headquarters. I specialize in accessible building design, spaces that work for people with disabilities. I thought you might be interested in my portfolio." They talked for 2 hours. Thomas shared his passion for creating buildings that served everyone, regardless of physical ability. He showed her designs for ramps that didn't feel institutional, doorways that accommodated wheelchairs without being obvious, spaces that were both beautiful and functional. "This is exactly what we need," Alicia said. "William would have loved these designs." "William Hargrove? The founder?" "Yes. He was important to me." Alicia's voice caught. "He believed in making the world more accessible, more kind. Your work embodies that vision." Thomas looked at her with understanding. "I lost my wife 2 years ago. Cancer. So I know that look in your eyes. The missing someone look. I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you. I'm sorry for yours too." They hired Thomas to design the foundation expansion. Over the next few months, he became a regular presence at the office, and Alicia found herself looking forward to his visits. He made her laugh. He listened when she talked about William without judgment or jealousy. He understood grief in a way few people could. "Would you like to get coffee sometime?" Thomas asked one day. "Not as colleagues. As friends. Or maybe more than friends if you're open to that." Alicia hesitated. She still loved William. Would always love William. But she also knew he'd want her to be happy, to live fully, to find love again. "I'd like that," she said. "Coffee sounds nice." Their first date was simple. They talked about everything and nothing. Thomas shared stories about his wife, and Alicia shared stories about William. They bonded over grief and hope, over loss and new beginnings. "I'm not trying to replace anyone," Thomas said. "You're William, my Sarah, they'll always be part of us. But I think there's room for new love too. Different love but real." Alicia agreed. "William told me before he died that I should keep living, keep loving. I think he'd like you." "I hope so. Because I really like you." They took things slowly. Coffee dates became dinners. Dinners became walks around the city. Walks became long conversations about hopes and dreams. 6 months after they met, Thomas asked Alicia to be his girlfriend. She said yes. It felt different than what she'd had with William. Thomas was younger, energetic, full of plans for the future. But he was also kind, understanding, and genuinely good. He supported her work with the foundation. He listened when she needed to talk about William. He gave her space to grieve while also offering hope for the future. "I'm not trying to compete with a memory," Thomas told her one evening as they sat on the deck of the lake house. "I'm just hoping to build something new with you." "You already are," Alicia said, taking his hand. 1 year after William's death, the foundation held a gala to celebrate its first year of success. Over 500 people attended, including caregivers who'd received grants, medical professionals who supported the mission, and donors who believed in the cause. Alicia wore a bright green dress, William's favorite color, on her. She gave a speech about William's vision and the difference the foundation had already made. William Hargrove believed that caregivers are the unsung heroes of our healthcare system. He believed they deserved support, respect, and fair compensation. This foundation exists to honor that belief and to help caregivers achieve their dreams. In our first year, we've awarded 150 education grants, helped 200 caregivers get certified in specialized care, and advocated for better wages and working conditions across the state. This is just the beginning. The crowd applauded. Alicia looked out at all the faces, all the people whose lives had been touched by William's generosity, and felt profound gratitude. After the gala, Thomas drove her to the lake house. They sat on the dock watching stars reflect on the water. "William would be proud of you," Thomas said. "I hope so. I'm trying to honor his memory while also building my own future." "I think you're doing both beautifully." Thomas paused. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." What do you see for our future? For us. Alicia thought carefully. I see happiness. Different than what I had with William, but real. I see partnership, support, love. I see building something together while honoring what we've both lost. That sounds perfect to me. Thomas kissed her hand. Because I'm falling in love with you, Alicia Turner. And I wanted you to know. I'm falling for you too, Alicia admitted. It scared me at first, feeling this way again. But I think love isn't finite. We can hold space for who we've lost while also opening our hearts to someone new. They sat together in comfortable silence, and Alicia felt William's presence somehow. Not sad or jealous, but approving. Happy that she was happy. She'd fought for his legacy and won. She'd honored his wishes by creating something meaningful with the inheritance. And now she was building a new life, one that respected the past while embracing the future. 2 years after William's death, Alicia stood in the Foundation's expanded headquarters, watching caregivers receive their graduation certificates from a new training program. She'd helped each one personally, mentoring them through challenges, celebrating their successes. Thomas stood beside her, his arm around her waist. They were engaged now, planning a small wedding at the lake house where William's spirit still lived. I never thought I'd be here, Alicia told Thomas. I never imagined any of this. That's the thing about love, Thomas said. It changes everything. William's love changed your life by giving you this opportunity. And our love is changing your life by giving you a partner to share it all with. Alicia leaned into him, content. She'd been through hell to get here. The trial, the public shaming, the grief of losing William. But she'd come through stronger, more certain of her purpose. She'd honored William's memory by fighting for his wishes. She'd created lasting change through the Foundation. And she'd found love again, proving that the heart's capacity for affection was limitless. As she looked around at all the faces in the room, all the caregivers who would go on to change lives because of the Foundation's support, Alicia knew William was smiling somewhere. She'd kept her promise. She'd accepted his gift with gratitude and used it to do good in the world. She'd shown that kindness, hope, and love always lead to something beautiful. And that was the best way she could honor the man who'd given her everything.